Welcome to Haugen Racing, guys. I totally lied to you guys. Last episode I said
this is the last build episode of this thing,
but it's back doing some little upgrades. So we use this in a couple of drifting challenges as well as some drifting practice. Even at Musselman Honda Circuit, it is like a pretty small course, but it's like it struggles in third gear. We also were struggling keeping it cool. But it's time for some upgrades. JMO's been going to town on this thing. He's actually almost finished up. We're waiting on a couple more parts. I want to show you guys kind of what we did and kind of where we're taking this thing. But anyways, without further ado, let's dive into this thing. Okay, so sticking with the theme of low budget, we're starting to get out of low budget a little bit. I wanted to do some type of turbo upgrade, and I did a bunch of research. So the S13 has a T25 turbo. S15s come with T28s. And so that's a common upgrade. You can get a T28 turbo. It goes on a stock manifold. You can get a little bit more horsepower out of it, but I want to be able to take this thing to like grid life and bigger tracks, and hopefully, definitely be able to use third gear, maybe even hopefully be able to bang fourth. So I'm looking more for like mid to high 200 wheel horsepower. And this puppy right here is just not gonna cut it. After doing a lot of research, I found honestly the best option was this turbo kit from Haugen Racing, which they didn't sponsor this, but they have basically, it's kind of like their turbo. So it's a super cheap turbo. It's like a step above a T28. It's kind of similar to like the Disco Potato Turbo, which was a really common upgrade, but those are harder to find. So it's a little tricky to see in there, but yeah, it's sitting in there. It also comes with a new exhaust manifold, which is a great upgrade. Like if you look at the stock exhaust manifold, this thing is kind of a piece of junk. Our intercooler pipe actually worked from the Part Shop Max high mount intercooler, so we did that. The intake pipe, JMO kind of had to cut up and make something work, but it's actually in a really great location. And another thing they do is they upgrade you to a Z32 map. So that's kind of a common upgrade for SR and RBs, and you can actually get like kind of aftermarket brand new ones, which is really nice. We also got 550cc injectors. This already had an upgraded fuel pump, so that's great. What else is there, JMO?
Oh, the fans?
Oh yeah, so on the subject of cooling, this is what we got right now. That is just not gonna cut it, so we got new radiator and fan setup. So I could already see you guys asking this question, like I thought you guys were keeping it, you know, super low horsepower, super budget. Basically all these upgrades together, I believe we're around 1,800 bucks. It does up our budget. I think we ended around 6 grand, so now we're like right around 8 grand. But it's like, if I was in Japan and we were on smaller like second gear courses and everyone else was running a similar horsepower, then I absolutely would keep it the way it is. But in the US, the tracks are a lot longer, faster. The cars are also much higher horsepower. So us being, you know, in the high 200 wheel, we're still gonna be pretty low horsepower and it is gonna be challenging, but we should be able to drift a lot of those bigger tracks. When we were out at Wild Horse Pass, like main track, I was giving her everything I had, even trying third gear, and we were able to get like fairly close on people, but they would just like dust us taking off on the line. But this is gonna give us a little bit better chance at really getting some good driving in, especially with the cars here in the United States. What do you got there?
I have stolen the harness off the R32 since it's not going to be the same setup. So this is a harness I made for the fans on there. It's actually the same fans, so just need to throw these into a Deutsch connector, plug those bad boys in, hook up our 2 relays, hit some power, and we're golden.
So if you guys missed the last vlog, we had a huge announcement, and you're probably wondering like where the R32 is. So go check that out. That's why we're stealing parts from the R32, because it's becoming a whole new vehicle. Check that out. The link will be at the end of this video. In other news in the shop, we still have this like crazy power steering issue with the R34, and I drive around it, but it sucks. We've even changed power steering pumps. We had this little KRC banger. After talking to Matt and Odie and a couple other guys, they're like, go to a turn 1 pump. Turn one. Okay, so we got turn 1. Guess what? Exact same issue. We're gonna try something we haven't tried yet. We're just going to switch the lines in case this ridiculous chance that they're crossed. The shop that helped us with the plumbing and a lot of the other work on this car, they did a lot of other stuff. So there's no ruling that out. That is a possibility. At least she looks good. Even with my little wall tap action here. If anyone in the comments just happens to be a power steering expert, comment below, because we could use your help. This is just honestly a mystery. But anyways, back to the S13 build. Oh, let's go, cooling time.
Uh-oh.
Why are you saying uh-oh?
Because I gotta move our radiator overflow, I think. One thing, then another thing.
It's always something.
1 week later.
Oh, what did you do to your hair?
I went back boring.
It's been a couple days since the last clip. Well, a little update. Jimmy got the oil cooler on. So that was a good upgrade. It looks like it was a to do, huh?
Yeah, we had to pull the alternator, pull all the bracketry off. We used our last 2 bits of dash 10. It barely worked.
Oh God. Basically going in from there, coming out around, and just got her mounted up right there. And the cool thing is too, these fans will help kind of pull through the oil cooler and the intercooler. So the nice thing is with the electric fan, it's gonna kind of help everything, not only cooling down the radiator. So I'm stoked on that. ECU is almost here. Then we got a manual boost controller and a boost gauge. And then I think we're done on the performance part. Then it's time for some pretty fancy parts. I guess we'll be back in like 5 seconds and we're gonna have those parts. Be right back. I was telling J-Mo that, like, the plan for the cosmetics, which will be kind of on the next episode, and he's like, I don't know what headlights you got. So I want to show you guys too. Well, he's kind of look at them. They're freaking crazy. Looking at them. Bust this thing's open, dude. Show the peoples. Come on! Oh! Great thing is they're like out of stock everywhere, but I was actually able to find a pair. Oh, finally the ECU showed up. Let's go. It's a little better than a canned tune. I mean, it is essentially a canned tune because it's not a dyno tune, right? The main thing is we have more power and better drivability, but it would also be cool if it threw some flames. So I spent a little bit more money on the boost controller and the gauge than I wanted to. I didn't even want to get a gauge, but it is really necessary. The ECU is tuned for 15 PSI, so that's where we'll set it. They gave us a base fuel pressure. We just need to pop the ECU in and then put this little fancy boy connector in, and then I think we can start this thing up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, got the ECU plugged in. We got the Z32 MAF wired in. Let me start it up and see if it works. And then we'll set fuel pressure and the boost pressure, but let's just see if it goes. J-Mo, cross your fingers. Yeah! All right, victory number 1. All right, boost pressure, fuel pressure, golden. They're right on point, right where we need them to be. J-Mo, let's start this thing up. Let me get some revs from the back. I gotta hear this thing for myself. Let's blow our ears out real quick. Pretty loud, not gonna lie. Guys, well that's pretty much it for this episode. I mean, this thing is ready to freaking rock and rock. I'm stoked. I hope you guys are stoked. If you guys want to support the channel, subscribe, check out our merch. Also, don't forget, we got a crazy other build going on right now. We just posted build episode 1 and we introduced it. Go check that out. We're building the R32 for Formula Japan. Huh?
Flash over there with that.
Yeah. This little. Go check that out. See you guys in a couple days. Peace.